नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्सा। नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्सा। नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्सा। इतिपिसो भगवारहं सम्मा सम्बुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरिसदम्म सारथि सत्ता देवमनुष्याणां बुद्धो भगवाति। नमो तस्स सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्सा। ये च बुद्धा अतीता च ये च बुद्धा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये बुद्धा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा। नत्ति मे शरणं गण्यं बुद्धो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम्। उत्तमं येन वन्देऽहं पादपंसो वरोत्तमं। बुद्धेयो कलितो दोषो बुद्धो कमतु तं मम। बुद्धं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। स्वाखातो भगवता धम्मो संदिटिको अकालिको एहिपस्सिको अपनायिको पच्चत्तं वेदितव्यो विन्नो हीति। नमो तस्स नियानिक सदम्मसा। ये च धम्मा अतीता च ये च धम्मा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये धम्मा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा। नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं धम्मो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम्। उत्तमं येन वन्देऽहं धम्मं च विदुत्तमं धम्मेयो कलितो दोषो धम्मो कमतु तं मम। धम्मं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो। यदिदं चत्तारि पुरुषयुगानि अट्टपुरुषपुद्गला एषा भगवतो सावकसंगो। आहुनेयो पाहुनेयो दक्षिणेयो अंजलिकर्णीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यकेतं लोकस्याति। नमो तस्स अट्ट आर्य पुद्गला महासंगसा। ये च संगा अतीता च ये च संगा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये संगा अहं वन्दामि सर्वदा। नत्ति मे शरणं अन्यं संघो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम्। उत्तमं येन वन्देऽहं संगं च विदुत्तमं। संज्ञेयो कलितो दोषो संगो कमतु तं मम। संगं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि। विपत्ति पटिवाहाय सब्ब संपत्ति सिद्धिया सब्ब दुःखं विनाशाय सब्ब भयं विनाशाय सब्ब रोगं विनाशाय भवेदीगायुकदायक सब्ब लोकं हितत्ताय परितं तं बनामहे। समन्ता चक्रवालेषु अत्र गच्छन्तु देवता सद्धम्मं मुनिराजसा शृण्वन्तु सर्गमोक्तम्। धम्म सवन कालो अयं बदन्ता धम्म सवन कालो अयं बदन्ता परिप्त सवन कालो अयं बदन्ता। नमो तस्स सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्सा। एवं मे सुतं एकं समयं भगवान् मगधेषु विहरति दक्षिणागिरस्मिन् एकनालायं ब्राह्मणगामे तेन कोपनसमयेन कसि भारद्वाजस्य ब्राह्मणस्य पञ्चमत्तानि नङ्गलशतानि पयुत्तानि होन्ति वप्पकाले अथ को भगवा पुब्बन्नसमयं निवासेत्वा पट्टचीवरमादाय येन कसि भारद्वाजस्य ब्राह्मणस्य कम्मन्तो तेनुपसङ्कमि तेन कोपनसमयेन कसि भारद्वाजस्य ब्राह्मणस्य परिवेशनावर्तति अथ को भगवा येन परिवेशना तेनुपसङ्कमि उपसङ्कमित्वा एकमन्तं घट्टासि अद्दशाको कसि भारद्वाजो ब्राह्मणो भगवन्तं पिण्डाय तिटं दिस्वा भगवन्तं ये तदवोच अहं को समना कसामि च वपामि च कसित्वा च वपित्वा च भुञ्जामि त्वम्पि समना कसस्सु च वपस्सु च कसित्वा च वपित्वा च भुञ्जस्सुति। अहं पिको ब्राह्मणा कासामि च वपामि च कसित्वा च वपित्वा च भुञ्जामीति। नको मयं पस्साम बोतो गौतमस्य युगं वा नङ्गलं वा फालं वा पाचनं वा बलिवद्देव अथ चपनात् भवं गौतमो एवमाह। अहं पिको ब्राह्मणा कसामि च वपामि च कसित्वा च वपित्वा च भुञ्जामीति। अथ को कसि भारद्वाजो ब्राह्मणो भगवन्तं गाताय अज्जबासि Kasako patijanasi nachapasami te kasin kasako puchito bruhi katan jane mutam kasinti Saddha bijang tapo vutti panyame yugangalang Hiri isa manoyattang sati me palapachanang Kaya gutto vachi gutto ahare udare yato satchang karomi niddanang sorachang me pamochanang Viriyang me duradorayang yogakke madivahanang Gacchati anivattantang yattagantva sochati Evame sa kasi katta sahoti amatappalam Yetan kasing kasitvana sabbadukka pamuchatiti Atako kasibardvajo brahmano mahatiya kamsapatiya payasang vaddetva Bhagavato upanamesi bunjatu bhavang gotamo kasako bhavang yamhi bhavang gotamo amatappalampi kasing kasatiti gata bigitang me abhojanayang sampassatang brahmanane sadammo gata bigitang panudanti buddha damme sati brahmana uttiresa andena cha kevalin mahesing kina savang kukkuccha upasantang annena panena upattahassu Kettam hitam punya pekkassa hotiti atakassa chahang bhogotama imang payasang dammiti Nakvahang tang brahmana passami sadeva ke loke samarake sabrahmake sassamana brahmaniya pajaya sadeva manussaya yasaso payaso buddho samma parinamam gaccheyya Anyatra tatagatasya va tatagata savakasya va tena hi tvam brahmana tang payasang appaharite va chaddehi appanake va udake upilapehi ti Atako kasibharadvajo brahmano tang payasang appanake udake opilapesi Atako so payaso udake pakkitto chichittayati chitichitayati chichitayati chitichitayati sandupayati sampadupayati sayatapi nama palo divasang santatto udake pakkitto chichitayati chitichitayati sandupayati sampadupayati evameva so payaso udake pakkitto chichitayati chitichitayati sandupayati sampadupayati atako kasi bharadvajo brahmano samviggo lomahatta jato yena bhagava तेनुपसंकमी उपसंकमित्वा भगवतो पादेषु शिरसा निपतित्वा भगवन्तं एतदवोचा अभिक्खन्तं भो गौतमा संयतापि भो गौतमा निकुज्जितं वा उकुज्जय्या पट्टिच्छन्नं वा विवरय्या मूलस्य वा मग्गं आचिक्यय्या अंधकारे वा तेलपज्जोतं धारय्या चक्कुमन्तो रूपाणि दक्कन्तीति एवमेवं भूता गौतमेन अनेक पर्यायेन धम्मोपकाशितो येसा हं भवन्तं गौतमं शरणं गच्छामि धम्मं च भिक्खुसङ्गं च लभेयाहं गोतो गौतमस्य सन्तिके पब्बज्जं लभेयं उपसंपदन्ति अलत्तको कसिबारद्वाजो ब्राह्मणो भगवतो सन्तिके पब्बज्जं अलत्त उपसंपदम् अचिरूपसंपन्नो कोपनायस्मा भरद्वाजो एको उपकत्तो अपमत्तो आतापि पहितत्तो विहरन्तो नचिरस्सेवा यस्सत्ताया कुलपुत्ता सम्मदेवा अगारस्मा अनगारियं पब्बजन्ति तदनुत्तरं ब्रह्मचर्या पर्योसानं दिट्टेव दम्मे स्वयं अभिन्या सच्चिकत्वा उपसंपज्य विहासी हीना जाति उचितं ब्रह्मचर्यं कथं करणीयं नापरं इत्तहत्तायाति अब्बन्यासि अन्यतरो चाक्को पनायस्म भरद्वाजो अर्हतं अहोसीति एतेन सच्चवज्जेन सुतिनो होतु सब्बद एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु नो जयमङ्गलम् एतेन सच्चवज्जेन पातु नो रतनत्तयं सबित्यो विभज्जन्तु सब्बरोगो विनश्यतु माथे भवत्वन्तरायो सुखी दीर्घायुको भवतु सब्बमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सब्बदेवता सब्बबुद्धानुभावेन सब्बधम्मानुभावेन सब्बसङ्घानुभावेन तदा स्वस्ति भवन्तु ते इमिना पुण्यकम्मेन मामे बालसमागमो सतं समागमो होतु यावनिब्बानपत्या इदं मे पुण्याकमं आसवक्यं वहं होतु सब्बदुःखापमुच्यतु निब्बान संपत्यो होतु साधु साधु. So this today's chanting is Kasi Bharadwaja Sutta. Kasi means like Krushi, agriculturist. He was an agriculturist. He was into this farming. The farmer of the present Bharadwaja. There are so many Bharadwajas that you can see in the scriptures. Some of them they are brothers, siblings. And this Bharadwaja, they are like actually They were like priests, and they were like spiritual people. But this Bharadwaja, he was a peasant, he was a farmer. And today's topic, that is livelihood, about this livelihood, this topic can be connected. So because of that reason, I have selected this Kasi Bharadwaja, farmer Bharadwaja Sutta, discourse given to this Kasi Bharadwaja. How he could realize the true essence of the livelihood, the superiority in different kinds of livelihood, how to determine the superior livelihood, inferior livelihood. That idea he could able to grasp, this Kasi Bharadwaja. So that we will see little later. And now we will take up this today's topic, that is understanding the right view livelihood. You might have heard of right livelihood. Now, what is this right view livelihood? So let us see what is this right livelihood first, and then we will see what is the right view livelihood. This right livelihood you might have heard or you might have read in the scriptures or in the books. According to Buddha, there is one kind of livelihood, it's called right livelihood. And there is one more kind of right livelihood you might have heard, say in the present context also, in the present world also, there is one kind of right livelihood people talk about. There is one prize also, right livelihood prize. It's also called alternate Nobel Prize. They define right livelihood in a little different way. And what is the definition of Buddha of this right livelihood, and what is the present say understanding of right livelihood among the majority of the people? And then what is right view livelihood? What is right view livelihood, and how we can understand right view livelihood? In addition to this right livelihood defined by Buddha, and also the present understanding of present people, the present world about this right livelihood. So that also we understand. So we are going to see about the right livelihood defined by Buddha. But point number one, right livelihood according to UN or according to this say this people who give this right livelihood, this alternate Nobel Prize, because that becomes the general perception. If some big organizations, the top level organizations, if they define something, then that becomes the general perception. So in that way, we understand what is that right livelihood that is described by the United Nations, and also this organization which is presenting, which gives this right livelihood to different kinds of people who excel in their services. So that kind of right livelihood. And then we will see what is right view livelihood, and again we discuss a few more aspects in this right view livelihood, and also we will see about this discourse, the Sri Bharadwaja Sutta discourse. Now coming to this right livelihood defined by Buddha, there is one discourse given to, of course, monks, but it was like the reference is for the lay people. Buddha gives the reference of lay people, and then he gives this sutra to the monks, so that the monks can encourage lay people to follow that kind of right livelihood. Got it? So though it was given to the monks, but it was with reference to the lay people, so that monks, after learning this, they can teach to the lay people, and so that they can help the lay people to follow the right livelihood. And he says, and it's in a discourse called Vanijya Sutta, it's in Anguttara Nikaya. So there Buddha talks about there are 5 kinds of wrong livelihood. If the lay people, if they don't take up these 5 kinds of wrong livelihood, and if they involve in any other livelihood other than these 5, then it becomes the right livelihood. That's what Buddha says. They should not take up these 5 kinds of wrong livelihood, And also they should not encourage others to take up these 5 kinds of wrong livelihood. Then automatically they fall in this say section of right livelihood. They fall in this group of right livelihood. So that's what Buddha defines about the right livelihood. So what are these wrong livelihoods that one should avoid? The 5 kinds of wrong livelihoods that one should avoid. And he says the trade, Vanijam is trade, the business, commerce, the trade. Trade of what? The business of what? Business of weapons. The first one itself is weapons. Satta Vanijja. Satta means Shastra. Shastra means like weapons. So in the trade of weapons, one should not indulge and one should not encourage other people to indulge in this trade of weapons. And the second one is the trade of humans, the trade of human beings, humans. In those days, people used to sell humans also, like slave. They used to become the slaves of the people who are, say, those who purchase them, those who buy them. That kind of slave business or business of the people, business of the human beings, selling and purchasing of the human beings. That also is wrong livelihood. Buddha discouraged, you see, during that time, 2,500, 600 years back. The fight against slavery and this selling and the buying, purchasing of this, buying of these slaves. It was there in the West, maybe even in last century or maybe some 2 centuries back. Yeah, some 2 centuries back. Till then it was there, but during the time of Buddha itself, Buddha categorically he rejected that. He rejected that selling and buying of the humans, the slaves. That is also called Satta Vanijja, but this is not like Shastra, that is Shastra Vanijja. This is Satta means like the humans or the beings, selling of beings. So that is the second wrong livelihood that Buddha discouraged. And if you don't indulge in this selling and buying of the humans, selling and buying of the weapons, then you are avoiding 2 kinds of wrong livelihood. Then coming to the third one, it is like Mansa Vanijja, selling and buying of the meat. So when you indulge in killing and extracting the meat, selling it or buying it in the sense again to, especially selling actually. Mansa Vanijja is like selling. It's mainly about the selling. It's not, buying is not involved here, specifically in this case. I will tell you why. And the next one is, after this Mamsa Vanijja, there is something called Majja. Majja Vanijja. Majja means like intoxicants. Again, the selling and buying of the intoxicants. Selling includes like manufacturing also. One should not involve in the manufacturing of weapons, manufacturing of, these intoxicants, like producing and manufacturing of these things are wrong livelihood. And the last one is the Visa Vanijja. Visa means like the poisons. Producing or selling or buying of these poisons is also wrong livelihood. So if you avoid these 5 kinds of wrong livelihood, then whatever other professions you do for your livelihood, for your for your living, then it becomes right livelihood. After all, of course, livelihood involves some kind of a little bit of cunningness also may be involved, a little bit of cheating may be involved. Vyaparam droha chintanam, that's what people say. In all kinds of trade, there will be some degree of, little bit of, definitely some kind of cunningness or cheating will be there. But the major cheating, the very effective, the very powerful cheating, powerful bad karma, negative karma, bad karma, unwholesomeness, is there in these 5 kinds of wrong livelihood. That is the production, selling, and in many cases the buying of the weapons. First and foremost thing is weapons. Second one is the humans. The third one is your meat, killing and extracting and selling the meat, and then intoxicants, madhya intoxicants, like your alcohol-based intoxicants, are so many kinds of intoxicants. Your drugs, substance, we call them. So all that kind of intoxicants also. Manufacturing, producing, buying, selling, all these things are wrong livelihood. Of course, legally also, some of them are say not allowed, especially these drugs, some kind of drugs. But intoxicants like alcohol products, legally it's allowed if it is with some say with legal if you are legally allowed, you can do it, but ethically or spiritually, according to Buddha, so this producing and selling of these intoxicants is wrong livelihood. Buddha categorically he won't reject everything. He'll say this has the major impact. Better avoid this. If a wise person he could analyze it, he could comprehend it, then he will see the other alternate ways. So in that way, it's like not like an hard and fast rule, like some rules and regulations that are say enforced by the government, enforced by the state. It's not like that. Buddha he says the implications, the repercussions of say doing the wrong livelihood, involving in the wrong livelihood and right livelihood, and a wise person, based on the discretion, right discretion, he can choose the suitable livelihood which is suitable for him. So for the lay people, and of course the last one is selling and buying of, and also the manufacturing of the poisons, different kinds of poisons. See, all these things, if you see, there is an involvement of, especially in the 3 weapons, and then say your meat, and then your poisons. In these 3 things, there is an involvement of extreme violence, like killing. If somebody is manufacturing weapons, means then like let us say your rifles or your armaments, like your say artillery. These different kinds of armaments are there in military and all. So all these things, they are meant for killing the other person. So the extreme violence that leads to the killing. So such kind of say anything that leads to killing, the extreme violence. The poisons also, nobody will manufacture poison for the sake of say for some beneficial thing, for some right purpose, with some right purpose. Of course, for some medical use, they may manufacture some poisons, but they should be considered as poison, as medicines, not as poisons. But when you consider something as poison, then definitely it will be used for killing some animals. Like poisons in the agriculture, they manufacture insecticides, pesticides, all these things, they kill the insects and pests. And there are some poisons, specifically they are manufactured to they kill some bigger animals also. So in that way, the rat poisons, and of course there are so many other kinds of poisons also, with an intention of killing some animal. With that intention, if some poisons or weapons or say this meat, of course meat is generally, of course you have to kill the animal to get the meat. So in all these 3 cases, the extreme violence, that is killing, is involved. So better avoid that kind of professions. That's what is the suggestion or the recommendation of Buddha. And of course, Buddha recommends in the precepts also, in the Shila also, in the 5 precepts, the very first precept itself is Panati Pata Viramani. Don't indulge in killing or inflicting violence on other beings, on other animals or beings, humans or animals or other beings. That's what is the very first precept. And all other precepts like don't take intoxicants, it will just dull your mind, it will simply make your mind very dull and very stupid and very, the mind will lose the discretion of what is good, what is bad. So that's why you don't take intoxicants. Then you don't lie, then you don't cheat, don't steal, don't indulge in sexual misconduct. All these things, of course, it will protect you from wrongdoing. Thereby, it will protect you from the law, from the government, from the punishment, and also from the ill will of the people around you. You can win the trust and confidence of the people if you follow all these 5 precepts. But in these the right livelihood, avoiding the 4 or 5 kinds of wrong livelihood, combination of 1 or 2 or 2, 3 these precepts you can see. The Shila, the precepts combination is you can see, especially the first precept. It is very much highlighted because in the 3 kinds of wrong livelihood, Buddha is talking about not to kill, not indulge in this killing business. For your livelihood, if you involve in this killing business, then you will get back. You will get back the repercussions, the reactions, the consequences, the implication. What is that? You too will be killed. If you want to develop your mind, if you want to grow spiritually, then you should have a good body, a comfortable body, or a supportive body. And if you destroy your body with your wrong actions, like killing, then how can you develop your mind? That's what is the intention behind this say right livelihood, or avoiding the different kinds of wrong livelihood. And of course, not taking intoxicants again to develop your mind. So if you have a say bright mind, alert mind, attentive mind, sharp mind, then you can work on the defilements of your mind, purify your mind, and grow spiritually. So that's again the reason of say including this manufacturing, selling, and buying of the intoxicants. When you are manufacturing intoxicants, then your intention is, like say, to dull the other person's mind, just for the sake of your greed, just to make money. You are not bothered about the other person's mind. That kind of non-botheration, carelessness about others' mind, that will hit back on you, that will come back to you in the form of evil, in the form of unwholesomeness. You will become dull and your mind becomes, it will lose its the discretion. What is good, what is bad, that discretion, your mind will. Then selling and buying of the humans. So there also you see, you are completely capturing their freedom. After all, the human life is and has to be say full of, or not, even if it is not full of freedom, there should be an ample amount of freedom, because only a free mind can think about happiness, can think about purifying the mind or developing the mind. If you're trapping the person by buying him or selling him and making him say a bonded labor or a slave, that means you are completely curtailing their freedom, completely destroying their freedom. That is the greatest sin actually. A good person always looks into a person's freedom. Of course, the freedom also has some limitations. With kindness, one should control one's freedom. But this is too much, this is extreme. They're making a person a slave, a bonded labor, and completely, of course, some good landlords, they used to treat their laborers also, but that is extreme. Once he becomes a bonded labor or a slave, then generally they lose their freedom. Even to move here and there, they can't think independently. And there will be a lot of pain and infliction of pain. of suffering on such people, and that is like very inhuman. And that was the case during those times. That's why Buddha had to prescribe this to the monks, to teach these 5 kinds of wrong livelihood. So in that way, if you curb the freedom of other person, automatically your freedom also will be curbed. So to give that indication, Buddha had to give this second wrong livelihood, and to avoid that second wrong livelihood, that is buying and selling of the humans, because there your intention is to extract, to exploit the labor from such people, then that is exploitation at the cost of their freedom. So that will hit back, that will come back to you. It will have some reverse effect on you, and definitely you will also lose your freedom, and you will also be exploited by other people if you exploit these slaves. So in that way, Buddha is very much bothered about one's freedom. Buddha is bothered about this security of the body, the comfort of the physical body, so that the body can support the mind. That's why any actions or any livelihood involving the killing, so he suggested not to involve in such kind of wrong livelihoods, and also any actions that lead to the blurring of the mind, or making the mind dull and say inactive and non-discretive. The mind loses its balance and loses its discretion. Such kind of say actions like taking intoxicants. So it will again come back to you. If you are creating the causes and conditions for other people to go mad or to go non-descriptive, to go dull, no? So then it will come back to you. You will definitely, your mind also becomes say, dull, and your mind also becomes non-descriptive. Your mind will not understand what is good, what is bad, what is beneficial, what is not beneficial. And that is again a great misery. That is one of the greatest ignorance that leads to suffering, lot of suffering. So in that way, there is some connection between the 5 precepts and the 5 wrong livelihoods that one should avoid. But why I have taken up this this topic today, one of the main reasons is like the present day world, how it is very much infested with this idea of peace, without giving importance on this right livelihood. The whole world is crying to stop wars, to stop say all different kinds of wars, different kinds of frictions in the society, but they have ignored these 5 aspects of the wrong livelihood. If you ignore these 5 aspects of wrong livelihood, and if you simply keep on shouting to prevent wars, establish world peace, and you are a fool, that will not work out. Like this Ukraine and Russia-Ukraine war. You see the origin of all the wars, they are rooted in this wrong livelihood of the people who are involved in this, the people who are say supporting directly or indirectly this kind of wars, taking sides these wars. Best they have this kind of wrong views and wrong livelihoods. That's why they are supporting this kind of wars. That we will see little later, how these wars and wrong livelihood, they are connected. Maybe after some 5-10 minutes. Before that, we will see what is this right view livelihood. So right livelihood, according to Buddha, is to avoid these 5 kinds of wrong livelihood that we have seen. And then again, the right livelihood that people talk about, say in UN, United Nations, and some other major organizations, world organizations. Some of them, they award this right livelihood, this alternate peace prize. So they select people who have a lot of dedication to say some with regard to some health issues. They are doing a lot of service in providing medicine, providing so many other things that are required for the good physical health and mental health, and those who are working for the sake of environment and ecology, and some businesses which indirectly help in say which are pro nature in the which have that eco-friendly nature. They have that eco-friendly nature so that the environment can be say it can be saved, or it can be protected, it can be preserved, and say so many activities, or some human rights, those who are working for human rights, legal rights, women rights, child rights, those who are dedicated their life for that kind of universal benefits, universal concern, with some universal concern. Some people are some organic farming, promoting organic farming big way. For such people also, they give this award, right livelihood. So right livelihood means like which are having some universal concern, which are having a lot of selflessness, which are having the say some kind of deprived classes, like downtrodden or deprived classes, to give them self-respect, to give them say self-confidence. Such activities they were encouraged by giving this right livelihood. So all those things are also one kind of right livelihood according to the present day people perception. That's also okay. Now coming to this right view livelihood. What is this right view livelihood? As I told you, right view involves the moderation, the middle paths. And then the right view involves the correct understanding of whatever you give, you get back. These are the two main aspects of the right view. And the third important right view is the essence of the Four Noble Truths, that is, craving leads to suffering. So too much craving leads to too much suffering. And the opposite, how best I can give, how best I can give up. That kind of giving, letting go, and based on that letting go, how skillfully you can work. Based on that giving, how skillfully you can work. Based on that intention of giving, how skillfully you work. That leads to happiness. So this is also one core understanding that one should have while selecting a profession. Then it becomes a right view livelihood. Then only he becomes efficient. He will excel in his profession or in his livelihood. What is the basis? The understanding of these Four Noble Truths. How best I can give to this profession, to this work. In that way, if he looks at the profession, instead of how best I should exploit, I should extract from this profession, from this company, from this job, from this association or organization, if that is your, say, intention, then it will not fit into this right view livelihood. How best I can give to this profession. Well, I have so many skills and abilities, or I develop skills and abilities to give my best to this profession. With that intention, if you start giving your best to your profession, then it becomes right view livelihood. In the same way, I should not be cheated, so I should not cheat others. With that understanding, if you involve in your profession, in your livelihood, in your job, I should not kill, so that I should not be killed. I should not inflict violence on other people, so that other people will not inflict violence on me. That kind of cause and effect understanding, if you apply that in your profession, in your job, then it becomes again the right view livelihood. I want respect, so I respect others. So with that intention, you involve yourself in your profession. So that understanding of this cause and effect, based on that understanding of the cause and effect, if you involve in your profession, then it again becomes the right view livelihood. So in that way, this involvement of, or say, applying this right view techniques, or right view knowledge, the essence of Four Noble Truths, the concept of this cause and effect. So these things, if you apply in your profession, then you have taken up the right view livelihood. As I told you, each and every profession, they have to different extents, they have their own limitations to apply this. There is no absolute perfect profession in the world. Even an arhant, though he is completely free from all kinds of say mental defilements and whatever actions that he do, it is completely like they don't have any repercussions, any say say the consequence. So that's why after his death, he will become one with the in the nibbana. He will achieve nibbana without any residue. The body residue also, it will collapse, and he will become one with the nibbana. So after his death. So even for such person, when he is alive, when he breathes, when he walks, definitely he indulges in some kind of say killing of the microbes, killing of some say the microbes which we can't see while breathing, while walking. Many lakhs, millions of microbes we kill. In that way, some kind of say unwholesomeness is involved in the very life of a human being. But step by step, according to one's own ability, one should see that he should involve in the non-violence as much as possible. Good for me, good for others as much as possible. That's why the basic 5 precepts are given. The basic 5 wrong livelihoods that one should avoid, that is given by Buddha. But no, one should not take it again. These 5 precepts. These are very basic. That one can definitely, little bit of skillfulness, one can definitely stick on to these 5 precepts. One definitely stick on to avoiding these 5 kinds of wrong livelihood. It is possible for majority of the people, or at least so for a good number of people it is possible. But for some people, if it is very difficult, though they have understood the essence of the right view, essence of the right actions and right livelihood, right actions based on the moral precepts, 5 precepts, right livelihood based on the 5 moral actions of the precepts, 5 moral precepts. Here, some people, though they have understood, but they find it very difficult to say take up the profession where you avoid killing, like some butchers. During the time of Buddha, also there was one butcher. He understood the importance of the 5 precepts and the importance of right livelihood, not to kill. But if he stops his his job, like say stop killing the animals and stop selling the flesh meat to the people, then he will die, or he is not aware of other professions that he has to take up. Then he approaches one wise person. Then he says, all right, if you can't practice this 5 precepts, the first precept, if you can't practice, like say not killing, so you practice the remaining 4. That is moderation for him in his situation. That is the moderation for him. So please understand the essence or the say moral of this story. What is the moral of this story of this butcher? If I can't practice 1 precept, then it's okay, I practice the other 4 precepts. That will become moderation for him. If he sticks on to all the 5 precepts and if he inflicts a lot of pain and suffering on himself, then that is not the moderation middle path. It is again inflicting pain on you. It is again creating some kind of violence on you. Self-violence. If you are stopping violence on others, and if you start self-violence, that is also violence. Harming oneself is also violence. So then I practice the 4 precepts as much as possible. Then his mind became little calm, little little skillful, and it start looking for some other job, and then he completely stopped killing. And after shifting to other job, other profession, other livelihood, then he could practice the 5 precepts also. So in that way, each and every one, he should see his situation, his position. As I used to say, the life is like a jigsaw puzzle. Everyone can't become number 1, or everyone can't go to higher stages immediately, instantly. Step by step, one should go. So to achieve that, so one should see one's own position. In the case of this butcher, so he was from say from his ancestors, that was his profession. From his forefathers, that's what was their profession. And somehow he understood the importance of non-killing. And now, step by step, he should follow this other professions based on this cause and effect. So if I kill, then I will be killed. So I want to develop my mind. So that kind of spiritual intention started in his mind. So slowly, slowly, he started uh, practicing all the 5 precepts by slowly shifting to other jobs. And then he became a very good spiritual achiever also. In the same way, all the humans, all of us, we should see our position, and accordingly we should say stick on to this right livelihood or the 5 precepts, right actions. Right actions and right livelihood, we should select, we should indulge in based on our situation. We should not take an extreme step based on our situation. Say for a monk, 5 precepts may be very easy. But for a person like butcher, for him, 5 precepts also may be very difficult. So one should see one's situation, one's position, and accordingly, one should work on his mind, his professions, his actions, his speech, step by step, in a moderate and in a very skillful way. Then only he will say, he will be, he will not inflict suffering on himself and uh, suffering on others, violence on himself or violence on others. He will not inflict. That is what is moderation. That is what is middle path. That is what is skillfulness. That is what is wisdom. So that kind of wisdom one should apply in their professions. Why I have told this? If some of you, let us say, are involved in these kinds of businesses where you have to sell and manufacture the intoxicants or the poisons or the weapons, then you should see how to practice other precepts and other things based on this law of cause and effect, and then this how best I can give for the welfare of me and the welfare of the world. So in that way, based on these 4 noble truths, sense of 4 noble truths, cause and effect, if you take up other professions steadily, step by step, if you progress in this intention of good for me, good for others, then you grow spiritually step by step. So in addition to this, the truthfulness also will come into picture. Not lying, one of the precepts. That also comes into picture in right livelihood. If you are a hypocrite, cunning, too much cunningness, too much hypocrisy, that will again hamper, that will again obstruct your spiritual growth. What do I mean by spiritual growth? Purifying the mind. If you are hypocrite, doing one thing when other people are not seeing and expressing some other thing, that is cunningness or hypocrisy or crookedness. So that will also corrupt the mind. That will also create a lot of, say, defilements in them. It will multiply the defilements. That kind of cunningness also one should. So that's why honesty is actually very much appreciated in all kinds of business. If you can do, you can do it. If you can't do it, you can't do it. Or relatively, if it is possible, you can push yourself and you can do it. But completely you can't do it. You know it very well, but still you are covering it with some lying or cheating, with some hypocrisy. Then it adds up to the defilement. So everything boils down to whether it is right actions or right view based right actions, right view based right livelihood. Everything boils down to our right speech, again, which is based on the right view. So it boils down to what? Boils down to the purification of the mind. What is the meaning of purification of the mind? To come out of these cankers, like your greed, like your hatred, like your jealousy, like your ignorance, dullness of the mind. All these things are the defilements, are the cankers, are the secretions, the wrong secretions of the mind. We should stop these wrong secretions, the cankers of the mind. Then only you can get the luminescence, the brightness, you can understand the greatness of the mind. And that's what is spirituality. That's what is the spiritual growth.
That's what is the true happiness. Why this spiritual growth is required? That's where true happiness comes. That's where you can enjoy the world also with the true happiness, the true wisdom, the true freedom. That's how you enjoy the world and even the worldly pleasures also. So that's why even your professions, your livelihood also should be based on the right views, should be based on the understanding of purifying the mind from the defilements. So then you will fit into this step-by-step growth of spiritual happiness, spiritual success, and that will give you all other kinds of success also. Worldly success also will follow. Okay, so that is the point here. So even for the monks also, Buddha has given the right livelihood. For the bhikkhus, those who practice 227 rules. So Buddha has given, say, you should not even pluck the flowers, should not even dig the soil. No, don't pluck the flowers. And your right livelihood is to, say, go for alms round and collect the food and eat. And don't indulge in other kinds of the so-called the right livelihood services that the present day world talks about. That is not applicable for the bhikshus or the bhikkhus or the 227 precept monks. So their livelihood is completely focusing on the mind. I was in one very good meditation center in Burma. There, each and every small rule they used to talk about. It will incline your mind to work on the mind purification and liberating the mind authority. I used to talk about these 227 rules, how beautifully Buddha has designed so that the monks or these bhikkhus can work on their mind very authoritative without being disturbed by the physical influences, worldly influences. And also they designed very minute or very minor rules up to 9,000. All those, even the small things also, I was very much thrilled with those small rules, big rules given by Buddha, which will incline you, which will orient your mind towards working on the mind purification. Of course, that is seen extremely rare. It's very extremely rare. It's extremely rare in many monasteries. In some very dedicated monasteries, like the one I was talking about, they follow that kind of very authentic bhikkhu food, monk food. So those monks who are used to that kind of complete purification of the mind, they don't even come to other. They don't go to other monasteries, or they don't go to even India also. In India, they knew that say the monasteries they're involved in so many other things which the monks are not supposed to do. In that way, of course, everybody they have their own understanding, their abilities, their say their limitations. So we can't expect all the lay people to follow 5 precepts. In the same way, we can't expect all the bhikkhus to follow that 227 rules, completely focus on mind purification. Everybody has their own limitations. It is left to their karma. We can't say, judge it, or we can't condemn it, or we can't say disrespect, or we can't say tease them or comment on them. It's okay, it's their karma. In that way, you should be a little skillful in say depending on the right spirituality or the right spiritual organizations, and then you will get the right guidance, the right spiritual power. So in that way, for everyone, why I'm talking about this, for everyone, there is a middle path, there is a moderation based on his own understanding, his own position, his own situation. But one should not be say hypocrite, saying that I am a great bhikkhu, but I am not following even 2-3 precepts. Forget about 227 precepts. Then it becomes absolute hypocrisy, and it becomes a horrible evil, horrible unwholesome. Then that will be worse than becoming a thief. In the same way, the political leaders, the leaders who are supposed to be honest, who are supposed to be follow the law, if they themselves break the law and if they act like hypocrites, cheaters, then it becomes to a great sin, great evil, great sin. The same way, if you are a 5 precept practitioner, stick on to it. If you can't practice even 5 precepts, then be honest that I practice only 4 or only 3. Or if I can't practice even one of them, it's okay. I have faith in this concept of mind purification. That right faith you keep, that also is good enough. Slowly, slowly, it will push you, it will motivate you to take up at least 1 precept. So in that way, one should see one's own position, and accordingly, one should practice the precepts, the right actions, the right speech. And based on that, one should practice the right livelihood. Don't be hypocrite. Don't try to cover or cheat or hide. Then it adds up to greater sins, greater evilness, greater unwholesomeness. As much as possible, one has to be honest. One can demote also, no problem. If I can't practice 5 precepts, let me demote to 4 precepts or 2 precepts, 1 or without precepts. Only I stick on to the faith, right faith in the mind purification. That also is good enough. In that way, try to be honest and try to be try to understand this right view and apply this right view in your speech, in your action, in your livelihood. Then you are leading a proper spiritual life. That will give you immense joy, true peace of mind, and progress, success in the spiritual life and also in the worldly life. So that is about the right view livelihood. Where you apply right view in your livelihood, then it becomes the right view livelihood. What are the 2 aspects that you should apply in the livelihood? So how best I can give to my profession? That is the essence of 4 noble truths. So that you should understand in your profession. And then whatever I do, I get back. So if I don't want something, then I should not give that one, do that one. That understand. I don't want violence. I don't want somebody inflicting violence on me. Then I don't do that on other people. That understanding you keep, then it becomes right view livelihood. And again, what is right livelihood? These 5 things I don't do. With some faith, with some understanding, if you avoid these 5 wrong livelihoods, then you are safe. You are not indulging in the evil, the greatest evil, the highest evil. That is not to involve in the manufacture of the weapons, the intoxicants, the poisons, meat, or selling and buying of the humans. These things I avoid. In that way, just keep some faith-oriented, right faith-oriented conviction. Then it becomes very useful for you, for your mind to open up and then to get some creative ideas to progress in your profession. So one important task that I was telling you is like this manufacturing of weapons, selling and buying of weapons. All these, the so-called developed countries, they talk about stopping the war all over the world, but they have not stopped this manufacturing and selling of these weapons. That is the major source of their for their country's GDP, country's income, national income. Selling of the weapons, especially for these third world countries or the countries which are developing. They themselves will instigate them to buy the weapons, use the weapons. Where they use the weapons, in wars only they should use the weapons. And then when the wars break out, then they say stop the war. So they're inducing them to buy the weapons and indulging in the wars. And then after the wars break out, then they start crying, stop the war. Absolute nonsense. Absolute evil, absolute crookedness, cunningness. And that's why, so when these so-called developed countries, which are developed, many countries, by selling and manufacturing the weapons, and if they say that we want to establish world peace, then it is simply a foolish cry. It will not work out at all. So you see, most of the people who talk about development and who are developed, they are developed based on this wrong livelihood only. Many of these wrong livelihood very much seen in the so-called developed countries. Killing is very much the killing of animals. They grow a lot of animals. They kill them. They grow them for the sake of meat only. And the manufacturing of weapons, that's a very big industry. Perhaps that is the most profitable industry of the developed countries. And manufacturing of intoxicants also, that is also a big industry. Even in India and even in the third world countries, it has become very major industry where the governments are getting a lot of income. And of course, in developed countries, the so-called developing countries also, they're making money from this wrong livelihood. And then say the poisons. So in the agriculture, a lot of insecticides, pesticides. Now they're completely destroyed the nature, destroyed the soil, destroyed the air, the water, everything. And they're saying that they are developed countries. So in that way, with these wrong livelihoods, if you are developing, then it is not a proper way of developing. That such kind of development will definitely lead to say downfall. They will perish sooner or later. Because the tit for tat they will get if you are manufacturing so many weapons and inducing the small countries or the poor countries, third world countries, who are of course were stupid, and simply making them to buy their weapons and making them to kill among themselves, fight among themselves. No, that is a very evil, say, unwholesomeness, sin. It is a great sin. It will come back to them. They too will be destroyed sooner or later, in some way or the other way. But what is this law of cause and effect? You can see this cause and effect very much. It's very, very simple. It's a very common observation, common sense it is. There is no, it's not a rocket science to understand. It's very, very simple. If you keep on praising somebody, he will one day or the other day, he will start liking you, praising you. If you keep on teasing somebody, one day or the other day, he will start, say, hating you, or he will keep you away from him. Very simple. There are so many stories, some smart stories you might have seen in your own life. There is no need to tell stories to make you understand this cause and effect. If you are good, then sooner or later you will get the good company, good. So if you are bad, sooner or later you fall into the company of bad people. Even the animals, if you keep them in some right association, the animal will become a good animal. If you keep the animal in the association of wrong people, the cruel people, the animal also become cruel. This you might have seen. So this is what is cause and effect. The same thing holds good with this right livelihood also. If the countries or the individuals or the governments, if they are indulged in this wrong livelihood, they will get back the repercussions. So in all these wrong livelihood, say the 5 kinds of wrong livelihood, there is an involvement of not only the corruption of the mind, with this intent to kill, intent to cheat, intent to say dull your mind. These things are there. In addition to that, there is an intention to destroy the nature, ecology, environment. Like in this kind of insecticides, pesticides, let us say. The name of development, if you are simply destroying the soil, destroying the nature, and that leads to say a lot of disharmony in the nature. And that leads to soil erosion, let us say, and that leads to floods and the famines. Floods and the famines, it comes because of destruction of the nature. Destruction of the nature, it will take birth in your mind. with your greed. The greed again based on your not understanding of this law of cause and effect, not understanding how best I can give. In giving only I get, but understanding of the Four Noble Truths is not there. That's why greed comes. That's why destruction starts. That's why the repercussions in the form of famines, floods, earthquakes, all these things will start. Not only this, even it will disturb, corrupt the others' minds. When you keep on inflicting this violence in the form of this wrong livelihood, the other people will hit back. Just like say now, for example, the so-called developed countries, if they are, let us say in Europe, if they are creating a lot of this kind of wrong livelihood-based business, then now it is affecting them only. This Russia-Ukraine war, is it not? So in that way, the tit for tat is very much seen in this world. So if you don't want to be hurt or harmed by other people, you should not indulge in that kind of hurting or harming in your actions, in your livelihood. Then it becomes a proper way of development. Then it becomes the proper way of, say, economy, improving your economy. Economy should be always based on the propriety, the properness, and ecology. The propriety means what I mean, like not affecting the others' minds, not corrupting the others' minds, not inflicting greed, hatred in others' minds by developing greed, hatred in my mind, in our mind. That is what is wholesomeness. And also not affecting, not destroying the nature, ecology. Ecology should be the foundation on which the economy should be. One should think of economy. If you destroy the foundation, then whatever economy that you achieve, whatever development that you achieve, it will crumble down. Then it becomes, it leads to a lot of suffering for you, for the world, for everyone. If right livelihood, if you have understood by understanding the right view, then you definitely take care of the nature. Ecology definitely will be an issue in your mind. And if the ecology is the foundation, and based on that, if your economy is progressing, that is the so-called sustainable development, then automatically will definitely become a rich country based on rich values, rich, natural resources, rich ecology, and also, richness in the mind also, the spiritual growth also. That's what people say India was or India will be. In India, the essence is spirituality, the mental peace, the mental development, the mind purification. That is the foundation. Based on that, ecology will become the next layer of foundation. Based on that, to the economy, if a person works out his economy, then that will become very sustainable economy. So please understand this three-step development. That is like spiritual development or spiritual foundation is the basic foundation. That is mental peace, mental harmony, wholesomeness, good for me, good for others, mind purification. Those principles should be the foundation, which can be achieved by the Four Noble Truths. Giving leads to happiness, craving leads to suffering, that understanding. And this tit for tat, the principle of cause and effect, it's very much the law of cause and effect, it's very much there in their existence. That understanding is the foundation. Based on that, if you take up your professions, your actions, your speech, then it will protect the nature also, the ecology also, you are taking care of. And based on that, your skillful means to use the resources in a proper way, in a sustainable way, and build your economy, then it becomes very sustainable economy. That's how the profession should be designed, the livelihood should be designed, whether it is the governments or the nations, the countries or the companies or the individuals, organizations. They should design their trades, their professions, their businesses based on this, understanding, based on this step by step understanding of what is good and what is bad, which is more important. And based on that most important thing, how we have to build. If that understanding is there, then everything will become sustainable. And the progress in all fields, in the fields of say your industries or agriculture or protection of the nation, security, and then protection of the nature, protection of the human minds, including your mind. That means to say your spiritual growth. Everything will fall in place. So that is the importance of right livelihood. Okay. Now coming to this discourse, in this discourse, Kashi Bharadwaja Sutta, that Kashi Bharadwaja, when Buddha went to him, so he asked for the alms. As a monk, he used to go for alms round. So Buddha also went for alms round, and he knew that Kashi Bharadwaja is an intelligent guy, but some ignorance is covering him, covering his mind. So I should go and teach him, and I should liberate him from that ignorance, and I should make him an arahant. So with that intention, Buddha came to this Bharadwaja. He was a farmer, Krishika Bharadwaja, agriculturist Bharadwaja, and when he was into his profession, he was tilling the soil or something like that, with some 500 farmers, other workers. Then at that time it was lunchtime, so they started eating. Buddha also went there. So generally people used to give food to the monks or the spiritual people, but he was little proud, and he started ill-treating or in a way scolding Buddha. See, we are working hard. We have the right livelihood. We are doing this hard work, and we are getting the food, and we are eating. That's how we should work hard. Why you are doing this lazy thing? Why are you becoming a lazy person? That's what many people also talk about nowadays in the world. These monks are very lazy. They simply, in that way, he was thinking because of his proudness, and he was thinking about Buddha. And in that way, he started ill-treating or rebuking Buddha for, when he asked, not even asking, when he went there at the time of lunch. Then Buddha also said, I'm also doing a lot of hard work, and based on that hard work only, I'm getting a lot of my food. That is my livelihood. In that way, Buddha, he replaced him. And then he was a little bit shocked. What you're saying? I don't see any kind of hard work. And he said, I am also plowing, I am also tilling, and I am also plowing, and I am also doing this agriculture. And I am also, based on that agriculture, I'm leading my life. That way Buddha says. And he was shocked, and he asked him, so where is your plow? Where is your bullocks? Where is your plowshare? Where is your rope that is required to handle the bullocks? So in that way, he started asking him. Then Buddha says, see, my faith is my. So he started giving some kind of analogy, some kind of similes, that he's working on his mind. His mind is the field for him, and from his mind only he is getting all the right harvest. In that way, Buddha started explaining him with faith, with mindfulness. One should work on the mind with these different kinds of mind handling techniques. Like say with compassion, with wholesome feelings, with wholesome faith, with wholesome understanding, with wholesome perception, with wholesome awareness. I'm working on my mind. I'm reaping the benefits. That what you are reaping in the form of grains, I'm reaping in the form of mental peace, mental harmony, mental liberation, the immense joy from within that I am harvesting. Of course, that I am teaching also, so other people also are learning it, and they are also harvesting the great, produce. That way Buddha could explain, and he was a wise person, he could easily understand, and all his pride vanished. And again, with lot of respect, he thought of giving food to Buddha, but Buddha rejected. So initially you were not having that faith, and so I ask people, by giving also people will get faith. With that intention only, I go and ask the people. But say, once the people give, then their minds will open up. They develop some faith, and they start listening, and then they start learning the things very well. And that is the right way to help the people. And but in your case, that has not happened. After learning, your mind opened. Now I don't require your say food, and also I want to teach the world, teach you that the monks or the enlightened people are not the beggars. They have not come to you just to beg something from you. They come to you with an intention of teaching. To facilitate that teaching, they will make you to give something so that their minds will open up. They will become more committed. Then they will start learning more authoritatively. So that is the intention. And in that way, Buddha taught that principle of having the right faith in the enlightened people, in the spiritual teachers. Not with pride, not with arrogance. One should not give. One should give with an intention of learning something from the teacher. So that is the right approach. So that Buddha could teach, in addition to teaching the right livelihood. The absolute right livelihood is mine. Yours is also okay, but that is for the worldly things. But far better livelihood is mine. I'm working on my own mind. I'm flowing my mind to remove all the weeds, to remove all the dirt from the mind, and to grow the crop, to grow the beautiful flowers, or the beautiful fruit, or grow the fruits and the flowers in this mind. That means like nice things I have to grow, removing all the dirty things from the mind. That means I want to cultivate the mind more than cultivating the soil. That is the superior profession. That's what Buddha could teach to this Kasibharad. That way, keep this as a primary thing, and then you design your design. You design your professions, design your livelihood. Then it becomes the right livelihood. What is the primary thing? How best I can cultivate my mind, even through my profession, at my situation, at my present situation. How I can design my professions and livelihood also to help my mind to grow, to help my mind to become more pure, with these ideas of how best the art of giving. Giving leads to happiness. This Four Noble Truths, essence of Four Noble Truths, this cause and effect. Based on these things, let me choose my professions, work on it. Then it will give me all the right results, right effects, right consequences I will get. So that understanding is there. Then you have understood the right view and also the right view livelihood. Okay, so that is about right view livelihood. I think this much is enough. Of course, there are so many other dimensions also to this right view livelihood. But I think at this juncture, we'll stop. If you have some questions, you can ask. Vandami Banteji, what is meant by Anuttarang Punya Katang Loka Sati? What is this? What is the context here? If you simply select a few Pali words and if you ask what is the context, what is the background? Anuttarang means like Anuttarang means like incomparable. Punya means the meritorious. Katang means doing. Lokasati in the world. So, so cultivating your mind is the best, the incomparable way of developing the punya in this world. The best thing is to cultivate your mind. In that way, we can comprehend, or we can say explain this statement. Okay, next question. So you ask some questions which you're really interested to get the answer, or which are relevant to say this right view. Make it more clear also the question, not this kind of partially putting the question, making it unclear. Okay. So that is about this right view livelihood. And that's what I wanted to actually explain this. See, these wars and all, they start in the minds of the people who are greedy, who are foolish, who simply want to make wealth, who want to promote their business, get income by selling their weapons. Such people, they can't stop the wars, and they create more confusion in the world. So it is better to keep away such people and their influence. The same thing holds good not at the international level, even at the individual levels also. Just see that kind of influences you avoid. Those who are practicing the wrong livelihoods with the greed, with the wrong intentions, better to keep away such people, however influential they may be in the society. So if they are into the wrong livelihood, and if they have wrong intentions, and they can't do anything. They can't create a peaceful society that you can apply in the political life, in the social life, in the professional life. This tip, this so instruction you can keep in your mind. That is about today's discussion. And of course, we have this right view learning from next week. So September 11th, we have this introduction class. So if you are interested in this right view learning and developing the mind based on this right view, and if you think it is quite authoritative approach to get happiness, to get success, to get health is important. Even for health, the mind should be calm and peaceful. The mind should be wise also. The mind should be free also. And to achieve that, right view is, as far as my understanding, is the most authoritative. And many of you have agreed with that. And if you are truly into this, definitely you encourage, you enroll, take care of your loved ones or your friends or anybody for that matter. That will become a wonderful punya. Punya anuttarang punya katang lokasa. It will become anuttara punya if you introduce this right view to the people. As this questioner is asking, anuttarang punya katang. So if you want to involve in this anuttarang punya katang, then you see that how best this right view can be taught, can be reached to more and more people. So this is what I feel after going through so many organizations, so many spiritual organizations. I realize it, or I feel that this is the best gift, best thing that I can practice, I can grow, and also teach, I can promote. The same idea, if you are getting it, work enthusiastically, work with all inner joy, with all wisdom and freedom, with all love and affection, compassion and care, and start promoting this. If you promote, you will also establish in the right to more authoritative. That way, don't think that you are helping only the other person. You are helping yourself by helping others in introducing that person to right view. And now this is like online, so we can reach each and every corner of the world. There is no the limitation with regard to the space. Everybody can be reached. That is the beauty of the present situation. This technology we will use for promoting this right view. And based on this right view, then everything like this right livelihood also is easy to understand. If you correctly understand right view, you can understand the right speech, you can understand the right actions, the right livelihood, the right mindfulness, the right concentration. Everything you can understand. If you correctly understand right view, then the life becomes very comfortable. handling people, achieving success, everything will follow with this right view. So if you grasp the importance of this right view, and don't stop. Accept, learn more and more right view, give, promote more and more right view, more and more people. Then your life will be, it's a very fulfilling way of leading this life. That much I can say. So with that, we will conclude with one small. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa bhavatu sabba mangalang rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sanghanubhavena sada sotti bhavantu te sukhi bhaveyang nidduko aham nicha aham viya hidacha me sukhi hontu majjata jatavedino imam hi gammante dhamme satta hontu sukhi sada tato parancharajesu chakkavalesu jantano sadhu sadhu sadhu. So our coordinators, they can just see that this about these classes, about these courses, the September October courses, level 1 to level 4, and their schedule. You can just say, present these things in the description of this YouTube channel also. Just do it so that some people, those who go through this talk, they can also see this. They can also know about this schedule. And also those who have done this, you can repeat this also, because now it is the structure is changed and the presentation is also a little bit changed, and this is more authoritative as far as I understand. And those who want to become like volunteers, coordinators, organizers, teachers, promoters, assistant teachers, instructors of this Right View Center, all of you repeat this level 1 to level 4 courses, and also enroll more and more people, so that this right view should reach not only deeply into your heart, also to other people. Then you will get the right association, you will get the right company, the right people around you. That way also it will be beneficial for you. Okay. So with that, we conclude. All of you develop in this right view, right speech, right action, right livelihood. May all of you be happy, healthy, and peaceful. May all beings also be happy, healthy, and peaceful. Sukhi rahe.